It was just that consistency that got us here, you know? We could have never even imagined 2 years ago we would have had 200 videos. We just wouldn't even have believed it, or we wouldn't even believe that we would have gotten as many subscribers as we did, but it was just staying consistent. Our biggest goal was we have to have at least one video out a week, and we have to love what we do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Untold Fitness Podcast. I feel that this is a special episode because I feel that it's the best that we have done so far, and maybe that's due to the fact that I decided to take a much more casual approach to the interview and loosen the structure a little, and actually not drink an entire pot of coffee before conducting an interview. I feel the past episodes I speak a little bit too quickly and stutter a lot, so this time it was no coffee. And, you know, it didn't hurt that we had really great guests, Hudson and Brandon, which make up the buff dudes primarily of YouTube fame. And we will be inching closer to that 5 days a week podcast structure, which has been in the intro ever since the very beginning. But we're a new brand and things are looking bright and things are going in the right direction. So now it's time to make the next step. And I would like to tell everyone that's listening and that has been enjoying the great guests that we're getting so early in this brand and so early in the episodes. We've just had great guests and it's only going to get better. So if you're enjoying this, please subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever podcast tool you use. Maybe it's on your Android phone, and give us a rating and a review. It really helps to boost the numbers. It really helps to boost the popularity. So give us a little 5-star rating, write something nice. Hopefully, if you like it, or don't, give us a 1-star if you think it sucks. And these reviews basically are, like I said, going to help in popularity, but what that's going to do is allow us to get even more prominent guests. I mean, in just episode 6 and this episode 7, we've had huge names in the fitness industry. So it can only go up from here, and we're only at the very beginning. So like I said, if you could just please support us, like us on, I don't know why I say us, hell, it's just me right now. But anyways, us if you include the guests and everyone else who helps. But like us on Facebook, like Untold Fitness. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. On Twitter and Instagram, it's the Tucker Jeremy. It's not Untold Fitness. But just support us. And like I said, I'm just going to get right into this interview. Thanks, everybody. Okay, guys, I'm here with Hudson and Brandon of the Buff Dudes from YouTube. They have a very, very popular YouTube channel. And guys, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself so they can, if they don't already know who you are, they can kind of get an idea.
Yeah, we started the YouTube channel about 2.5 years ago. It was really started just due to our love of the subject of fitness. We loved doing it since we were kids. Our dad got us into it at about 14. We really took a liking to it. It was just a fun hobby that developed into so much more. Brandon actually did some bodybuilding competitions as a teenager. I had myself turned 20, and we thought that the teenage bodybuilding would be a better avenue to get into. So really, we did a lot of research on our own to see what we would have to do to make that a reality. I kind of acted as a coach in a way, and then Brandon entered, won second in his first competition, first in his next, and we really just started to take it from there.
That's interesting. I know there's some information on your channel about that, but you guys started pretty young. And who is the older brother? It's you, Hudson, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm about 1.5 years older.
Okay, so you guys are still pretty close in age. And so where did it go from there? I mean, did either of you pursue the bodybuilding anymore, competitively, or did you get into I don't know for sure, but I assume that one of you guys or either both of you has done a little bit of maybe modeling or at least fitness modeling and things like that. That's true, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I kind of got more into fitness stuff. I mean, obviously through the bodybuilding. Going through the competitions when I was 19, I got contacted by a few photographers and kind of went from there. Started doing the fitness modeling, got in with like Muscle and Fitness, Fitness RX, Reps. So I started shooting with them quite a bit actually, and flying down to LA. And it really, it didn't really go anywhere other than just kind of being in a few magazines, and it was kind of tough. So I didn't really see any progress as far as okay, where, you know, you kind of start thinking like, well, where do I go from here? You know, I mean, yeah, I've been in some magazines and that's kind of nice and you can brag to your friends and whatnot, but there's no real goal to hit other than like, I want to be on the cover. And like, once you're on the cover, you're like, okay, now what? So it's kind of cool because we started talking about like, well, how do we kind of incorporate that into something bigger? And Hudson was recommended like, well, what if we do like a YouTube channel? And of course, his experience is more editing and website development and you know, marketing and things of that nature, as well as obviously fitness. So like, well, shit, man, if we did like a fitness channel, but made it more like kind of comedy, entertainment, kind of took more of like a filmmaker's eye to it rather than just a straight up educational sense, then we could make it fun for everyone rather than just, you know, you sit in a classroom and you start to try to learn something. It can be pretty boring. It rather, you know, and then we kind of make it more fun. Then kind of everyone can be involved in it and have fun with it. And also us too have fun with it. So we just kind of went from there. And after we moved to LA, we decided to do this, the Buff Dudes channel, and it kind of just started taking off. And yeah, we went from there.
Yeah, I mean it's really blown up. I guess you as of this recording, you have somewhere in the ballpark of 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is, you know, that's big, and you put out many videos. I've personally, the reason I know of you guys, other than the fact that I think you guys your channel, the Buff Dudes, is one of the few fitness channels on YouTube that is, you know, really well known and well produced and well liked. You know, I'd say there's probably, if I had to guess, 15 or 20 that are super popular, and of course many others that aren't. But I've personally been subscribed for over a year, and that's where I had originally heard of you guys. And I'll tell you, you know, you guys are in better shape than I am for sure. But the thing I do is more of a bodybuilding style of training. And, you know, I'm interested in all sorts of athletics, but that's just personally like a hobby of mine. And I've been doing it for probably 15 years, and I know what I'm doing. But in like you said, a lot of your videos are not only informational, but they're very fun and tongue-in-cheek and all of that. And, you know, as a I'll be 34 pretty soon. As a 34-year-old guy who's been, you know, doing a bodybuilding style of training forever, I've learned a lot from your videos. I really have. You know, I remember it's been a while, but you guys did some videos on different variations of curls. And I think you did a drag curl, which is where you basically, instead of, you know, curling the bicep so much, for the listeners out there that don't know, it's almost like it's a curl, but it's a hybrid between a back row and a curl in a way. You're almost like pulling your elbows back as you curl up. And then I think you did a video on spider curls, which is where you lean over like 45 degrees over on a bench and hang your arms down and curl. It takes a lot of any momentum out of it and all that stuff. But anyways, to make a long story short, there's all sorts of little tidbits and videos that you guys have put out like that have helped me, and it's things that like I've never even done before. I've never even tried, and it, you know, and it really helps and it really works great. And you know, I'd like to thank you guys for that personally. But you know, your channel is not just for, I don't think it's for any certain demographic or age group. You know, there's a lot of people in the fitness community that are sort of stuck up with their knowledge. But if everyone just has an open mind, you know, you can definitely learn from anyone. But you guys have one of the best fitness channels out there for sure.
Thanks, Tucker. Appreciate that. Yeah, and I mean that's exactly what we're aiming for. So that's really good to hear from you. That's kind of what we've hit. And yeah, I mean, someone as experienced as you, been looking as long as you have to still maybe learn a thing or two, and maybe a tip or trick here and there is exactly what we like to hear. I mean, that's kind of, it's perfect. I mean, same for us. You know, I mean, it's a constant learning experience. You know, either for people that watch our channel or even ourselves that kind of learn something new along the way as well. I mean, and that's kind of the fun thing about it. And it should be a very community-based channel. I mean, you know, people sharing things and, you know, learning things. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about, and bettering yourself, either physique or mentally or, you know, whatever it may be. Or you might just come to the channel just to be entertained. So, I mean, I think that's kind of like the goal we've had. And so it's really good to hear that we've kind of hit that.
Yeah, it's cool. I think the whole Buff Dudes persona that you guys have, you know, I mean, this is my perspective, but it's not only evolving from just a fitness channel and fitness tips, but you know, but you guys really are a personality. You know, you've done lots of really fun videos where you're different characters, whether it's Thor or Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever, and you know, those type of videos kind of break out, you know, and it'll break out past just the typical fitness audience into like a broader audience, you know, that just wants entertainment. But that's kind of what the Buff Dudes, you know, has evolved into, you know, from my perspective at least. I would assume you'd agree with that, and that's probably what you guys are what you want, anyways. But yeah, it's you know, it's the whole Buff Dudes thing is it's really, I think your appeal is extremely broad, you know, and you've got a long ways to go as far as your growth. You know, you've got a lot more growth ahead of you. I would think you guys would have to agree with that, because obviously, because a lot of the videos are so funny.
Yeah, well, that's definitely one of our biggest goals, is to just, like you said, keep people entertained, even if they're not the biggest fan of fitness or healthy food, and hopefully along the way maybe guide them in that direction. And if not, hey, you know, as long as they're entertained, it's all good with us. We really wanted to settle on the acronym BUFF for better understanding of food and fitness, because as you said, you know, Buff Dudes is definitely very tongue-in-cheek. But we also wanted people to know that, hey, there is a little bit of education in there as well. But we didn't want to make it, as Brandon said earlier, necessarily a classroom. We just wanted it, if you could pick up a thing or two here and there, hey, you know, we're definitely happy with that.
Yeah, and it works for sure. You know, and we've kind of been talking about this, and you said, you know, how you guys got into the idea of the channel in the first place. But you know, one of the other questions I wanted to ask is, you know, what inspires you to do, you know, this avenue of fitness as a profession, and you talked about that a little bit. But what makes you think that that you know, it's almost like, what gives you the audacity to think that you could be a professional at this, and you could be someone who is teaching others and gives you that confidence, you know? I mean, obviously, I would say, you know, physically speaking and fitness wise, you know, your physiques speak for themselves, but, you know, what is it that just made you think that, like, hey, why don't we, you know, get out in front of a lot of people and give some information and advice, you know, and try to help people?
It probably started spawning off of, as we were working out when we were younger, and physically we started developing pretty quickly and had a pretty good physique, and would have people come up to us and ask us questions and ask us advice, whether it be people that were younger than us or even older than us. And, you know, we would give information and we would try to tell them what to do and give them tips and everything like this. And either they take the advice or they don't. But we kind of saw kind of a need there of people wanting to know, you know, what to do, or you want some kind of guidance. And then we would read fitness magazines or watch maybe even, like, let's say, like a documentary like Pumping Iron, for instance. And it was very inspiring. And we would read articles on what to do, and some would contradict each other. Like, you know, there's never kind of a clear direction sometimes, and it might confuse some people. So we're thinking, well, what if we kind of have a more simplistic way to look at things, and how to maybe even teach people, not necessarily like, you know, we're the teachers, but we're just at least there to help guide people of like, well, this is a good way to do it. Take it or leave it, and kind of go from there. So, I mean, I think it was just experience that kind of gave us the, you know, the confidence, because we've been doing it so long. But it's also just the confidence knowing that there's people like us out there that want to find out some nice, easy information in a, you know, a tight, compact package, I guess, in a way, which is why we make the videos kind of short and easy and simple and just right to the point. We don't kind of try to bullshit or anything, because we kind of know how it is. You know, we've been there in everyone's shoes. We've been there trying to learn, and sometimes have been strayed in the wrong path. I mean, I remember reading an article in Muscle Fitness, and they were, hey, not to bang on Muscle Fitness or anything. I mean, they got to write their articles, but at least, you know, they were trying to say, after your workouts, you need to eat Pop-Tarts, because it's going to help get your glycogen in your muscles and fight your insulin. And I read that, and I'm like, wow, damn, you know, Pop-Tarts, I like Pop-Tarts, so that sounds pretty good. I'll eat some after my workout, and I'll gain some muscle. having those after every workout, along with maybe like a Rockstar or something to get all my sugar up and everything. I mean, I really didn't see much change, and I started getting more information into it. I'm like, I think this is kind of bullshit. I don't think this is the right way to go about having a post-workout meal.
Yeah.
And, it kind of just showed us like, well, okay, I see how it is. I mean, there is that thing that people, they need to write articles to sell, and they need to just kind of run out of ideas and need to create new things. Like, I think it'd be good if we made a channel where it was kind of not like that, where we're not trying to sell something. We're just trying to give them good information. I think that kind of hopefully comes off in the right way.
Yeah, and that works, and I think that's what people appreciate. That's a funny story. When I first started lifting weights, when I was like 18, 19 years old, I read all of the bodybuilding magazines constantly, and after about a year, I realized that this is just the same stuff over and over, because like you said, they have to have content to write every month. And that's never going to stop as long as they're in publication. And I even realized after, and I'm not shitting on them either, because I enjoy all of those magazines and they taught me a lot. But it does come to a point where you're like, man, this is just the same thing over and over again. In my opinion, I just bought when I was younger, I bought the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding or whatever it's called, and that pretty much will teach you, in my opinion, 95% of everything you'd ever want to know about, the bodybuilding style of training and diet. But that's funny that you said that, and actually that's the sole purpose of this podcast is, along with introducing an audience to all sorts of various people in various aspects of fitness, but in talking to them and getting their story, but also getting some information that you just wouldn't find in a magazine. Finding certain tips that in my experience, you learn on the job, and you learn so much from training. And it's not just bodybuilding or weightlifting. It might be a certain sport. It might be gymnastics. It can be any athletic endeavor. But you learn so much on the job, and then you'll learn so much speaking to people. Speaking to other people that are doing what you want to accomplish. And it's those sorts of tips and advice that you just don't normally come across. You have to be involved in something for a long time to learn certain tips, and that's really the whole point of this podcast. I thought, man, what if I could pick the brains of some of the most fit people on earth? And that's exactly that's similar to what you're saying with the Buff Dudes YouTube channel. Is you're just kind of putting out cool tidbits of information that's a little bit different, and it's easy to digest because, basically there's no limit on how many videos you can put out on a topic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think that's how we get around as you said, you can only cover a subject so many times before you begin to repeat yourself. And that's one of the real joys we take in the channel is that entertainment aspect, and doing some of the skits and episodes is we want to go off the trail a little bit where people can be entertained in an unusual way, as opposed to us being in front of the camera covering biceps, for the 50th time. And also it keeps us entertained as well too, because we want people to know that this is a fun project for us. We don't want to just be there going, oh God, we got to do another video for someone this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but you can tell that you guys are having a good time, and they're definitely entertaining. And since we're talking about, basically a little bit of uncommon fitness knowledge, let's move on to your one fitness tip, the fitness tip from the Buff Dudes. And this is something that I definitely ask everyone. And it's just like I said, it's a little tidbit of advice that you really wouldn't find online or in a magazine or anything like that. It's just it's very niche. So hopefully, just let everybody know what the Buff Dudes one fitness tip is.
We talked about this a little bit before we got on the line with you, Tucker, and our fitness tip could probably be viewed by a lot of people as boring, but it's something we really stand by, and it's really just the foundation of our exercises.
Yeah, and it's something we preach, I think, throughout our channel, so it kind of almost is our mainstay advice for everyone.
But yeah, that tip would be consistency, because it's just, we can't stress that enough, how important that is from the people we've talked to and, we've hung around over the years, is just so many people end up giving up. you know. I mean, they'll try something out, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, and it's that consistency, man. And I know you know it as well, you know, having worked out for years, there's some days it's not fun. There's some days you don't want to get up, but you just have to stay consistent because that's what's going to do it in the end. You get to bask in the reward when you have the good physique and all that good stuff. And it's like anything. It's like playing guitar. It's like any trade. It's those hard hours out of the spotlight that makes you into what you become. And it's staying consistent that gets you there. And that's what we really believe in.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And it like you said, on the surface, it would seem kind of boring to someone. You know, that's a good piece of advice. You know, just be consistent and continue to grind it out. You know, like probably a lot of people don't want to hear that. But for me personally, you know, like, you know, I think if anyone gets into any sort, you know, into any endeavor, you know, we're talking specifically about bodybuilding and weightlifting and that sort of a thing. But it could be any sort of athletic endeavor. You know, I don't want people to think we're just keeping it restricted to that. But you know, you got to make it fun and enjoyable. And what a lot of people don't realize is they don't stick with something long enough to make it enjoyable. You know, it does sound boring, you know, the consistency. Like if you want to be able to look this certain way or get this strong, it's, you know, it might take a year before you get there. And that sounds boring.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is like, you know, if you stick with it in a month, you're going to be even stronger or even faster or even better at this sport. And in 2 months, you're going to look better. And like that makes it fun because, you know, the whole progress along the way, you know, like it's the journey. It's not the destination. I mean, that's 100% true. And I actually hear from a handful of people that are in really great shape. I'll occasionally hear things about how, you know, they dread working out, they dread exercising, they dread going to the gym, or they just want to get their workout over with. And, you know, maybe it's that way for some people. Me personally, I love going to the gym. I mean, I cannot wait to get there. I mean, if I miss a day, it drives me bonkers.
Yeah. I think you have to love it.
Yeah, for sure. But the consistency is you know, it's key to accomplishing any goal, really. But especially in any sort of a fitness endeavor, you know, like your body just doesn't make changes overnight. And that's even if you're training to be a boxer or a fighter or you know, like a sprinter, you know, like you're just never going to get there overnight. You know, you have to work on it. But I think you'll be pleased with the results over time, and that's what keeps you coming back every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right too, you know. The best boxers in the world, the best baseball players, the best basketball players, you know, even if they're naturally gifted, which some people absolutely are, it's still going to take that consistency to get to where they want to be, to continue to refine those skills.
Yeah, and anyone listening can apply that to anything. I mean, I don't care if you want to be, you know, a great chess player, you know. It's just like practice. You know, you can literally apply the consistency to anything.
It's all the hours kind of behind the screen, and you know, without anyone seeing and the payoff is then, like, as far as fitness goes, maybe taking your shirt off and walking around the beach and having people, like, you know, being like, wow, you look really good or something. But it's all the hours behind the scenes that give you that physique. So, and especially if you don't love it, if you don't really like it, it's going to be hard to put in all those hours over the years to develop your physique, whether it be for yourself or maybe just, you know, to be able to kind of increase your confidence, whatever it may be. You know, it's going to take all those hours behind the scenes to be able to finally perform, let's say, as a boxer, to finally perform in the boxing match, you know. And no one sees all those hours you put in over the years leading up to the match. They only see the match, but it's amazing how much work you have to put into it. And, you know, some people don't realize that. So once they start, they're like, wow, there's a lot of work. And you really do have to fall in love with it to make sure you can put in that amount of work and not become just like totally burnt out.
Especially in the era of Instagram and social media, where you can see the greatest physiques in the world at the click of a button. That can both be a great positive thing to make a goal to aspire to be that person, and it can also be a little depressing, you know, because it just sets the goals so high.
Yeah, you're right. You know, and I'm sure people would look at the Buff Dudes, you know, your YouTube channel, your social media presence, and and say, like you have, I'm going to look right now, actually. This is live. Okay. I don't know how many. Okay, I have no idea how many subscribers you have. I can't find it. But anyways, you've got roughly 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you guys are in really great shape. I'm sure people would see you and be like, "Oh yeah, well that figures. These guys are in really good shape, and they got this popular YouTube channel." But like you said, 2 years ago it didn't exist. It was nothing, and obviously you had to start off from zero. And
Yeah.
I want to say you guys probably have maybe 200 videos posted or more than that even. There's a lot of videos. That's a lot of that's a lot of work to produce all of those videos for sure. Aside from the fitness part of it.
Yeah. And it was like we just got finished talking about. It was just that consistency that got us here. We could have never even imagined 2 years ago we would have had 200 videos. We just wouldn't even have believed it, or we wouldn't even believe that we would have gotten as many subscribers as we did, but it was just staying consistent. Our biggest goal was we have to have at least one video out a week, and we have to love what we do.
Yeah, I want to talk to you guys about obviously your supporters and your detractors. I've looked online. I did a little bit of research, and actually, when I looked through Reddit, I just searched for buff dudes in some of the Reddit forums, and everything I came across was positive. Everyone would say,
That's
yeah, a lot of people were referencing your 8 and 12 week programs that you would have on your YouTube channel, and a lot of people were saying that that they should work pretty fine, that they trust you guys, that you guys obviously know what you're talking about, is really positive. But then just doing a Google search, I come across some information and some reviews, and some people say, "Oh, the Buff Dudes is just another YouTube fitness channel. It's just another channel to get views, and basically, I'm gonna paraphrase, but basically to put out just basic information, for like fitness dummies, for people that don't know anything. And it's just basic information that everyone should know anyways, and the kids eat it up. And like I said, I'm a grown man, and I'm a subscriber to your channel, and I've learned many things from it. So I don't agree with the negative part of it, but I don't know if you guys have ever heard anything like that. You've laughed, of course, when I talked about what people say online, but what would you guys have to say about anyone negative that talks about your channel? Because I mean, in a way, there is a lot of garbage on online and on YouTube, especially in the fitness realm, especially on Instagram. There are everyone knows there are women on Instagram with like 100,000 followers, and basically I'd have no clue what these women do other than post half naked pictures of themselves, but they're very popular. You know what I mean? So there's definitely that side of it. But what would you guys have to say about that?
As far as the basic information, I mean, that is actually pretty true. We do a lot of basic information, but that is because the basic information is the most important. That's going to create the foundation for a good physique. A lot of people don't realize that. People that start working out, they're going to start trying to do splits. They're going to start doing pretty advanced movements right off the bat because they see these guys with good physiques doing that, so they want to accomplish that. They want to right away jump in to more of an advanced program and be like, well, that's going to make my physique. That is not true. That's not going to make your physique. The basic information and the good foundational exercise are going to make your physique. And the more complicated you make things, the more confusing it's going to be. So as long as you keep everything simple, it's going to be more fun. You're going to get more advancements in your physique and also your knowledge. And then you can go from there. So we've got those comments where like, it's good basic information, which is exactly what we want to continue to do. We have some kind of advanced stuff in there, but for the essential part, it's going to keep it pretty simple and as simple as possible because that's really what it's all about. It is the younger kind of generation that we're trying to attract because that's the one that wants the information. That's the one that's going to soak up the information, and that's the ones that are going to need the information too. So the ones that are kind of like the old school lifters that kind of maybe watch your videos and be like, oh, well, they should be talking about, intermittent fasting, or they should be talking about, this or that. I mean, those guys already know, they think they know everything already, so they can just go off and keep thinking that. And that's just fine. But we really want to try to go to the younger generation that really is hungry for information and that want to kind of, better themselves.
Yeah, and the younger generation, or the people that are just getting into this, You know, they basically, like you said, they need the basics anyways. That's the building blocks. And if they do it long enough, they're going to learn everything else. You know, they're going to come across it. You know, it's just a matter of time anyways. There's no sense in overloading at first. And, you know, and like from time to time, if I ever have a young person ask me for advice, it's become the only thing I ever say to them is eat a lot of food, you know, and unless they're like an overweight person, then I might, you know, I'm not going to tell them that. I'm going to say like, you need to, you know, start, you know, really dieting and maybe doing some cardio. But 99% of the young people that ever ask me for advice or how to do something or how to get so strong, I just say, you got to eat a lot of food, you know, like you need to eat a lot of food, you know, obviously healthy stuff. But to me, that's 80% of it. You know, I mean, you can come in and lift weights and pick up heavy things all day, but your body's not going to change and grow unless you've got the right kind of diet to go along with it.
Yeah, you know, you get a lot of those people like, well, I want to lift weights, but I don't want to get too big. And, you know, it's always, you kind of always have to try to struggle not to laugh when people say that.
Yeah.
Especially like women, you know, because they're afraid to get big.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to eat a lot to get big. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize it's not just, you don't curl 50 pounds and all of a sudden your biceps are 20 inches. I mean, you got to put a lot of work and also a lot of like nutrition in there too to make your muscles grow. So yeah, it's you know, still those kind of like misconceptions, and that's one of the things we want to try to really get out there and get to the whole general public, because it is kind of a mystery still for a lot of people. You know, they just don't realize what it really takes, and it can be very simple. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated.
And that's definitely one of the things that we try to preach on our channel is we don't want there to be any secrets. We don't want there to be any wall between us. Yeah, there is no like one weird trick to get a giant physique. I mean, we want to just try to let people know it's going to take consistency, hard work, staying on a schedule. As you said, Tucker, if your goal is to gain weight, you have to eat food, get the calories in, calories out. We really want to focus on the foundations. And if that makes people say that, you know, we're for beginners and it's simplistic, then, you know what, to tell you the truth, we're fine with that. But we want to let people know to focus on those things, such as consistency, the foundational compound exercises, proper form, just so people have a good base to go with. And then if they want to begin to learn advanced movements, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, just being in shape like you guys are, you know, you're in very, very good shape. You know, just that alone personally, you know, that puts you in probably like the 1 or 2% of the country or of the world, you know, automatically. If you just walk around the streets and look at people, you know, just the way you guys look, you're automatically in an elite percentage. So what you're doing is going to be completely different. And it's just any kind of basic knowledge that you can give anybody else is going to help them, you know? So, I mean, I totally agree with you about that, and it's definitely, you know, like you said, mostly the young people that are starving for this kind of knowledge, anyways, and they do think that there's a magic bullet. You know, it'll be like some skinny 18-year-old kid, and he's like, oh man, you know, how can I get that big, or how did you get so big, or you know, I want to be able to, you know, push this kind of weight, and it's just like, man, just eat a lot of food, you know, like that's the very first thing I say. But it's like, gosh, there's no magic bullet to that, you know. And on another note, you know, just if you say you are super, super skinny, you can come lift weights constantly. But if you don't eat a lot of food, you're just going to get really, really shredded. But you're probably not going to get a whole lot bigger, you know, without that food. But you know, and that's simple. But there's a lot of people that, you know, they don't know that yet. You know what I mean? And to us, that's just very basic knowledge. That's probably the kind of knowledge that some troll online would shit all over, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's a thing. When the answer is so simple, sometimes you want to look for something more complicated because you go, well, it can't be that easy. Exactly. You know, it can't really be that simple, right? Hard work and eating consistently and a calorie surplus. No. There's got to be something, you know, more advanced than that. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes the answer is right in front of your face.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, you know, I don't think that it's possible for everyone to be an elite athlete in professional sports. You know, there is a reason why, you know, there's a reason why certain people are, you know, the elite professionals, obviously. But, you know, but as far as just being physically fit or mentally fit or feeling good about yourself or, you know, being healthy, anyone can do that. Literally everyone on the planet. You know, we're human beings. We're Homo sapiens. You know, we have the same basic DNA. You know, it's in everybody. You know, to get healthy. You know, one way or another, and get fit one way or another. Whatever degree makes you happy. You know, everyone can do it.
Everyone has it in their power to reach their full genetic potential, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. So whether your full genetic potential is, you know, at the very top echelon of every athlete, or it's, you know, maybe not so much, but at least you know you have the power to push yourself to the limit, and you don't know until you actually do that. So I think that's kind of the mystery, is sometimes you get lost in like, well, those people are the top athletes, so I can't do that. But if you have that attitude, then you'll never really know. So you got to push the limit. You got to really strive for the best possible. So the only one way is you're going to find out that what kind of person you are, what kind of genetic potential you have, is to really get out there and push yourself.
Yeah. Do it and make it fun, you know, is what I say. And that's exactly the way you guys are putting your information out online. You know, you're making it fun for people. So, I mean, that's definitely going to help. Let's move on. I want to move on to just a few questions about any failures or struggles that you guys have had. Now, this could be either with physical struggles, you know, like you said, when you got into bodybuilding as a teenager, or maybe it struggles with your business, with Buff Dudes, with anything like that. But anything fitness related or career related, can you just tell everybody, you know, about any failures or struggles, so they'll know that, you know, it's like we were talking about just a few minutes ago, you know, nothing is an overnight success. Yeah, but just go ahead, guys.
I'll go first with Brandon. You know, when I was pretty young, I did the whole bodybuilding thing. I you know, built a pretty good physique. I started doing the fitness modeling, and things were going pretty good. And I had an opportunity to move to New York to try to pursue more in that kind of, in that line, as far as the fitness modeling, or, you know, whether it be acting or whatever. So I moved over to New York, and I was getting kind of pulled in different directions, saying, well, you need to lose the weight. You know, you have a pretty good look, but the whole, you know, muscle thing isn't really working. I think you can get more work if you're smaller, and all this kind of thing. So I had all these voices in my head trying to pull me in different directions, and I ended up listening to them. And so I lost a lot of weight. And I just wasn't happy. And it was just kind of like one of those things where you're like, what the hell am I doing here? I had a whole goal when I was younger, and I was really like happy, and I was pushing myself, and things were going good. And now where am I? I'm like, I don't really work out anymore. I'm not. So I ended up just giving up on that. And I moved back home, and I was like, what am I doing? So I started working out again. And then I started falling in love with working out again, and said, yeah, this is what I love to do. And this is what I'm proud of. And I gained all kind of my weight back and the muscle and everything, and things started going better again. And that's when we moved down to LA and started pursuing Buff Dudes. And it's been going good since then. It really has been amazing that working out and being fit and really preaching the fitness lifestyle, what it's really done for us. And so it's really just, you know, you have to find something that you really love to do. Don't let people dictate what you do in life. Like, you need to be happy with what you do. You want to make sure that you pick something that you can live with and be yourself. Like, really, you want to be yourself. Don't let people try to tell you who you should be or what you should do. And it's testament on my failure of trying to pursue something that I wasn't really even interested in, or maybe not interested in, but as far as just letting people tell me what I should do, I mean, it just didn't work. So, I mean, you need to just pick something that you love to do, and that, you know, really just you're happy with, and be happy with yourself when you're doing it.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like what Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about, probably in the 70s, when he declared that he wanted to become an actor and be a big movie star. And, you know, he said that everyone told him, you know, you're too big for the movies. You're too muscular. You don't fit in the movies, you know, and of course he proved them wrong. But yeah, sounds very similar.
And that's it, exactly. So if people tell you what to do and try to tell you who you should be, well, you're not yourself anymore, and then you won't come off, you know, a certain way. You just won't be happy, so you'll come off the wrong way. So, I mean, you know, I guess that was my failure. Is like, I tried to listen to other people. I let other people influence me in what I should be, and that was wrong. I mean, you should always be yourself. You should always be happy with what you do. And that was a pretty big life lesson for sure.
That's cool. That's interesting. That's something that as a subscriber to your channel, I never knew. I never knew any kind of information like that from you guys. That's really cool to hear. And you had there was more you guys wanted to add to that.
Probably as far as failure, as today in the moment is concerned, we're not by any means. We don't believe that we're at the top of the heap. We're always trying to get better, and that's always the goal of ours, is just to strive to get better in every way, because there's so many different aspects of life you can improve yourself in, even beyond just fitness alone, even with the channel. One of our biggest goals is we need to make our episodes better, more well-produced, more entertaining. We want to expose a larger audience to what we do, and we really try to listen to what people have to say and what kind of not only suggestions but also criticism, because sometimes criticism can be a good thing. It strives us to be better people. And, really first moving to LA, we really didn't have much of an idea of where we wanted to go or what we wanted to do. And it was very depressing, because you come to a point in your life when you just go, now what? And that's really one of the biggest reasons we started the channel, because me as a video editor and us both being very into fitness and us both being certified personal trainers, we said, well, why don't we put these two things together and make something that we can both be happy with and something we can both be proud of?
Yeah, I mean, and it's working out too. It seems like you said you have a long ways to go. That you guys you have a lot more that you guys want to accomplish, but it seems to be working out great. And it's a cool combination. You got two brothers that are in really good shape. You guys did some bodybuilding. You were personal trainers. You have the experience in video editing, a little bit of video production. It kind of makes it made a really good sandwich.
And that was it. I mean, it was really just focusing on finding our strengths. I mean, honestly, when we first moved to LA, we had an idea of what we wanted to do. We wanted to do some kind of filmmaking. We wanted to do some kind of acting, and we wanted to keep that in line with the fitness, because we love fitness. We loved kind of trying to preach the word of fitness and trying to get that out there. But then we're like, well, how do we really do that? And we kind of, got a little lost along the way. I mean, there was a couple of years there where we didn't really do much. I mean, we're really just trying to find our way and kind of find a good niche. And it's like, how do we really kind of work this out? And there's some pretty bad struggles along the way. I mean, honestly, like LA, moving down here, this almost became a failure. I mean, for the first year, it was really, really tough. And we're like, how do we make this work? I mean, even just getting a job down here, I mean, it's a difficult thing to try to make your dreams come true. I mean, and we're not quite there yet. We still have a long way to go, but at the same time, we're definitely on our way. And it was really just finding our strengths and kind of taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
And that's something we
go ahead.
let people. Oh yeah, Tucker. And that's something we want to let people know, that listen to this podcast, is, you will have times in your life, and there's by no means that we think, oh yeah, we're so great. We got 500,000 subscribers. Like we were saying earlier, as far as the Instagram and all that stuff, oh man, we have days we look at people and their physiques and stuff, and we look at each other and go, why the hell do they look so good? And we just, at least feel average. I mean, what the hell are we doing wrong? Everyone has their insecurities. Everyone has their days when they're not feeling at 100%. And it's just fighting through that and going back to consistency, just staying on the path, not staying hungry, man. No, staying hungry, absolutely, and wanting more and wanting to continue to improve yourself. And that can be hard for me, is being a video editor. You're very confined to one spot for much of the day. You're not getting a lot of physical activity, so it's very easy to fall off the path, and all of a sudden you feel that you've worked out hard for years, and you spend, a couple weeks not staying consistent, and you go, God, where'd all the progress go? So it's a constant struggle. Absolutely. And I want to let other people know, don't feel bad if you have those feelings. Everyone has those feelings.
Yeah. That's good. That's good to hear, because man, trying to do anything on your own, especially any kind of a business endeavor, and doing it online, where basically it comes down to popularity, fans, subscribers, support, all that stuff. Like when you're doing it by yourself, it is not easy. So yeah, that's definitely advice that a lot of people could use for sure.
and also you got to be careful about the clicks, as you were saying before. As far as you can experience negative feedback. I mean, yeah, we've had our share for sure, and I think anyone who continues to rise in popularity will. But you also have to separate the negativity from the criticism. Like we were saying earlier, we value some of the criticism we get because it's made us a better channel and better people, really, because you can tell that the criticism is coming from a good place. They want to see you succeed. They're just saying things that they think maybe you should work on. Whereas negativity, it can become very much like a high school clique where you have to be careful about that, because if you follow that clique, it's just really just one big circle jerk. And we try our best to avoid that because we don't want to become like a popularity contest. You just got to really love what you do and continue to do that.
That's good. And also, just by doing that, by at least taking into consideration, the criticism, you can at least evaluate it and, think about, whether it's true or not. And you basically, you can improve on what you're doing, and make a better product for everyone, So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some good you can take out of that as well. And that goes not just for you guys, but that goes for anyone in anything that you do, Just kind of evaluate that criticism and see if it's complete BS or see if it's has a foundation somewhere that's in truth.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah, and also you're talking about you're trying to improve the channel, improve the production, and obviously grow Buff Dudes. You guys had said that you've been working at the whatever the YouTube studios are called. I'm not sure what that's called, but I know that YouTube, as far as to my knowledge, they have this free studio that they let a lot of YouTubers use for production. And you guys have also started. You guys have been shooting there for a little while, but also you guys have started some collaborations with other YouTube channels, right?
Yeah, we've done a few now. We've collaborated with Quest Nutrition and Corridor Digital, the special effects. YouTube channel.
Yeah. That's the one I saw. The Corridor Digital guys. Those guys are fantastic. They make some crazy videos.
Yeah, we were huge, giant fans of them, and they're one of the big reasons we got into YouTube, honestly, because we saw what they were able to accomplish in a 3 to 5 minute video, and we said, man, we want to do that, but with exactly that. So they were a huge influence on us, and we let them know that when we were able to collaborate with them, because we said we're really honored that you would consider us and have us in your video, because you're a big part of the reason why we started our channel.
I think they were honored to have us, actually, to have two Buffsies on set with them.
That's the ego coming out.
Well, if you think about it from an acting standpoint, you guys are obviously, I think you do very well at the acting. You're these two, super buff, in shape guys that have a lot of experience online and a following, and you're good at acting. I mean, that's a really great asset for a lot of people online, and not just online with, who knows in the future, maybe films, television, but that's a great asset that you guys are developing in yourselves.
Oh, thank you.
We're kind of surprised. We were like, hey, we want to collaborate with Corridor Digital, and they're like, we love you. We're like, oh, really? I mean, it was really cool. Yeah. So I think that it definitely helped for sure.
And we want to be able to fully use the medium of video as well, because we would hate to, and we loved the magazines. They taught us a lot growing up. They were really one of the only tools we had at the time. But at the same time, with the medium of video and film, we don't want to just have a stationary camera and us talking as a talking head for 15 minutes. We want to be able to fully expose our tools, and, being able to shoot videos, we want to make them as entertaining as we can and really use everything available at our disposal.
And it almost acts as like a resume in a way too. So if you do want to work with other people, if you want to try to collaborate with other YouTube channels, they can look at your videos and how you come off and whatever it may be. And they'll be like, oh, I see. Okay, cool. Yeah, we would love to have you because I see what you're doing there, and you have more of a kind of cinematic approach to it.
Yeah. And also just personality wise, you guys come off as, helpful and kind and humble and of course, funny and entertaining and educational to go along with all of that. But, there's a lot of guys on YouTube that have channels and have followers that are just so negative. You know, it's like they almost want to preach, and then they almost want to yell at the camera and say, you know, oh, all these people do this wrong and you need to do it this way. And it's like, man, like, you can only listen to that crap for so long, and it just becomes really annoying and negative.
Yeah, we've definitely tried to stay away from that. I mean, there's a few channels that we'll leave on names that we know about that. Yeah, we almost kind of took that as what not to do, because we just, you know, and I mean, hey, that's their own thing and good for them, but that's just not us. You know, I think positivity breeds positivity, and that's a good thing. I don't think we need to scare people with negativity on, you know, what they need to do, or what, you know, they need to follow us, because if they don't, they're going to possibly break their neck if they try to do a pull-up or something, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I can tell you just from this interview right now that we're doing, that we're recording, you know, you guys are really, really passionate, and, you know, there's so much that you want to say. I can just tell from talking to you, you know, like, I've only, you know, this is still one of the first episodes. You know, we've only got a handful of Untold Fitness podcasts out there, but you guys are probably, you know, some of the most enthusiastic of all that I've done so far, of the short number that I've recorded with and I've interviewed. But you know, I can tell that you guys really, really want to help people. You know, you've got a lot of information that you want to put out there. You know, and like I said, in like a kind and humble manner.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm not just like trying to. Yeah, I'm not just sitting here jacking you guys off or anything like that. I'm being honest. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say keep going. It's so good.
Yeah. No, I'm just being honest. Yeah, I thought I better slow down.
Feel free to cut us off at any time, or we could be going for hours.
For real, I was thinking I better slow down a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and move on to. I ask you guys if there's any sort of a motivational quote that gives you inspiration, or that you really, really like.
Yeah, you know, and we thought about that. We went over a few ones, and one that we just really love is the everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Oh, cool.
Really, because it is, you know, there is a lot of fear involved. I mean, and everyone is at a different point in their lives. There's so many different aspects. There's so many different people out there. There's so many different goals. There's so many, you know, I mean, for some people, it's as easy as just going in the gym, and they've been working out for 10 years, and it's like, it is what it is. You know, it's a very easy road. For other people, they're trying to break a cycle of, you know, a generational thing. They've had unhealthy family members for years and years, themselves included, and they decide to work out, and they come across a lot of opposition. You know, their other family members are going, what are you doing trying to work out? You're never going to be in good shape. You know what I mean? You're never going to do this. You're never going to do that. And it's really hard for someone to overcome those struggles, and it can be a real challenge, and there can be a lot of fear involved. And hopefully, and this is what makes us so happy, is when we get those emails from people saying, you know, thank you guys, because you provided the inspiration I needed to work out. And to tell you the truth, we always email them back and go, well, thank you for providing us with the inspiration to keep going, because it's those messages that make us want to continue to make videos.
I mean, those messages motivate us. And I mean, fear works in so many different ways. I mean, we've had messages where people, you know, some dudes are like, hey, I almost fear the gym. Like, there's like a lot of people there. It's intimidating. I mean, just going to the gym can be sometimes intimidating and a little bit fearful. So, I mean, it's just those small, you know, it might not seem a lot, but those small things that might hold you back. Or even just, you know, hey, I want to ask this person the question, or even just like, you know, whatever it may be. It's just that fear, and not even like they're, you know, so deathly afraid of something, but it's just those small things that might hold you back. So that way, you know, hey, don't be afraid. Just push through and make sure you are, you know, nothing will really deter you from your ultimate goal.
Yeah. I think that quote, everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear, I think that can be applied into many aspects of life, but especially just for fitness, like you're saying, you know, for the variety of reasons, which it might be fearful to get started in some sort of fitness endeavor. But yeah, even like you said, you know, a lot of people are intimidated to go to a gym. I mean, I think that's very, very common, especially for beginners. And I would just say to anyone who hasn't already started going to a gym, or you know, maybe a CrossFit gym, or maybe even take a jiu-jitsu class, you know, whatever it may be. The other people don't care. They don't care what you're doing, and no one is staring at you, especially at a gym, you know, like a commercial gym, like with weights and cardio equipment. Those kind of gyms, you know, they can seem very intimidating for a newcomer. And I'm just going to tell you, like, no one is staring at you. No one cares if you're not very strong or you don't even know how to do an exercise or maybe you're overweight. No one else cares. It's just in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, people are their own main person in their movie. I mean, you're the main person, right? But when you think about it, all these other people are their own people, and you're just an extra in their story. So they don't really care about you, you know. So that's the only thing is like, don't worry about what other people think because they really don't care because they're concerned about themselves, not you. So you just have that kind of fearful attitude of like, well, what do they think about me? What if they, you know, they don't like me? What if they're looking at me strange? Yeah, like you said, Tucker. I mean, they really don't care because they're really concerned about themselves, and they might even have those same feelings personally, but of course they don't show it, you know. So I mean, it's just that thing to get over. I mean, I think everyone struggles from it from time to time.
Yeah, and I think, you know, especially when you're just talking about getting in good shape. If you go to some establishment, whether it's a CrossFit gym or a regular gym or whatever, you know, you'll be surprised at how many people are supportive. You know, there's always a few bad eggs out there that are going to be mean and negative and not helpful, but the vast majority of people are going to be so supportive. You know, that might surprise a lot of people. I mean, anyone who is not anyone, but the majority of people that are in reasonably good shape are confident about themselves, or at least to a certain degree, and you know they're going to be supportive and helpful. You know, and that may not even be as true in some sports because sports are competitive, and you're always a threat. You know, if you get good at a certain sport, whether it's baseball, you know, maybe the best baseball player doesn't want to give you all the best advice because it's a competition. But with fitness and getting in shape, you know, people are very, very, very helpful. You know, any newcomer that's just going into a gym, you know, and scared and intimidated and shy, like, trust me, like, first of all, like I said, no one cares what you do. And second of all, if you just ask around, like, people would be more than willing to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you can make lifelong friendships as well. You know, we've had a few mentors that we met in the gym and helped us to get to the point where we are now. And they're people we will always be thankful for. And that was one of the components of us wanting to make the YouTube channel, because it's like, man, if we can kind of pay that forward a little bit and we can help expose someone who may never have even known they wanted to work out as well, yeah, that's a very good feeling. It makes you really happy.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's nice that we're actually agreeing on everything. the last podcast I did with Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell, are you guys familiar with him?
Not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, we're googling them right now. in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
in 5 minutes, expert. Yeah, we're gonna start talking shit.
He's a super great guy, and he's very knowledgeable and very helpful. But he's like this world renowned strength trainer. You know, I mean, he's like a super, you know, uber expert, and he's into you know, just he's basically into strength training, and that's something that, you know, I just don't have a lot of knowledge in. You know, mine is like my specific expertise, I guess, would be more in like the bodybuilding style or whatever. But, you know, I'm talking to him and he's giving me all this information and it's all new to me. And it was so hard to ask him questions because I didn't have anything specific to say about what he was talking about. I was just taking it all in. And at the very beginning of the podcast, I was asking him about his, you know, fitness career, and he's like, "I don't do fitness. I do strength. I'm a strength coach. Don't do fitness." You know, and like the guy's like, you know, the guy is highly, highly respected. You know, I mean, you got to love him to death, and he's super nice. But yeah, it was just like from the get go, I'm like, man, I'm not on the same wavelength as this guy. This guy knows a lot more than I do. But with talking to you guys, you know, like you said, you've done the bodybuilding style of training and that sort of stuff. So we're on the same wavelength. At least we kind of know what we're talking about.
Oh, for sure. And it's like you were saying earlier with, you know, different classes will bring different fears. You know, I mean, I took some jiu-jitsu classes. It's something I've wanted to do for years last summer. And I mean, I was scared shitless.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And as you said, you know, there are people willing to help out. It was great. It was an awesome experience. I loved it. And as far as you said, is like, you know, misconceptions or people very much staying with what they're knowledgeable with. It's a lot of, you know, obviously jiu-jitsu is a component of mixed martial arts. You'll still have your old school boxing guys who don't even give mixed martial arts the time of day. You know, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of dudes in pajamas rolling around on the floor. Well, as soon as you take your first jiu-jitsu class, you very quickly realize, hey, you know, there's a lot more to this. And sometimes it's just have to expose yourself to something new, as scary as it may be, which it definitely is, to go, wow, I just gained so much respect for these guys.
Yeah, it's kind of a mistake to have the attitude of like, oh, it's my way or no way, or this is the only thing I do. So I think we try to have as much attitude as possible of like, you know what, fitness is more all-encompassing, or at least that's our kind of thought process on it. And that's why we have the acronym of Better Understanding of Food and Fitness, because fitness to us is kind of like, it could encompass everything. It could be jiu-jitsu, could be strength training, could be bodybuilding. I mean, and that's kind of what we think about it. And we don't want to ever be like, oh, well, he's a guy that does jiu-jitsu, or he's a guy that does strength training. That's not us, so we don't like it. I mean, that shouldn't be the case. I think it should be a very we're trying to create a community where it is all encompassing, where it could be anything. You don't have to be a bodybuilder to appreciate weight training. I mean, because weight training can be used for very different things. You know, not just looking good, but also performing well as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even want to get into the whole mental aspect of weight training and the benefits that it can have on your mind and your well-being. You know, I mean, it's just on a primal level, it does so much for you. You know, just from a mental standpoint. You know, and I know that's the same with other sports and athletic endeavors as well. Like I keep saying this over and over again. I don't want to just pigeonhole us into weight training, but yeah, you know, there's even, for example, there are professional fighters that I would love to have on the show and interview. And at some of the heavier weight classes, there are guys that are like just flat out, you know, they look overweight and out of shape. You know, there are professional baseball players at the top of their game that are a little bit overweight and they look out of shape, but those guys are fit. You know, they have a certain level of fitness that makes them excel in their specific sport. You know, there are people that have a certain level of mental fitness, and you know, maybe this person doesn't even exercise or anything, but you know, they're mentally strong. You know, I mean, there's all sorts of fitness, just like you're saying.
Yeah, there's definitely different aspects. Like you said, I mean, it's not just physical, it's also mental too. And to, even if, you know, like you said, baseball, for instance, it isn't the most physical sport. I mean, you know, a lot of people say it's kind of boring with standing around and stuff, but that's not, I mean, it took a certain mental capacity to be a professional to get up to that level. And there is talent there is effort, and there is a certain, you know, amount of respect you have to have for a person that takes it to that place.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, let's move on to, this is pretty much the last question I'm going to ask you specifically, at least that's on that I ask everyone. And this is your tough scenario. And the tough scenario that I had for you guys is, you know, I noticed in a lot of your videos, it's cool. You guys have your dad come on and he helps you guys build various pieces of fitness equipment. It's really, really cool and fun to watch, and your dad seems like the coolest guy ever. But staying on that theme, I thought, okay, since you guys have a lot of videos about building equipment, what kind of advice would you have for one of your young viewers that, you know, say they don't know how to build anything, they have no prior experience in building anything, and maybe they don't have a dad around that knows how to build anything else either. And, you know, this person doesn't go to a gym. They don't have access to a gym, but they want to start training. You know, they want to start doing, you know, these buff dudes workouts. What kind of advice could you give to them as far as like, you know, how to train, and, you know, maybe even some creative ways to use equipment or build equipment or get some, you know, from a kind of person that just wouldn't have a chance on building anything on their own, even though you guys, step by step, you know, go through in your videos. You explain it very, very well on how to make some of these things. But yeah, let's just say you got to just give some advice on a young kid that has no hope of building any of that stuff on his own.
We would probably say we would have one suggestion what to build. Even though if he couldn't build anything, we'd have one suggestion. Yeah. It'd be like the entry level, you know, 3-year-old Duplo set from Lego, you know?
Yeah.
And that would be the Paralette bars. Because
all you have to do is screw in things, like you don't have to have any tools or anything.
Exactly. Very, very, very simple. And, you know, it could be a lot of fun, too, because you go to your local hardware store, whether that be Home Depot or just like a locally owned one. You go in, you have the excitement of grabbing all the parts, whether you want a taller Paralette bar, whether you want it a little bit shorter. You're able to take that home. It's going to cost you about $50. So even if, you're a really young kid and you did what we did growing up, I mean, you mowed lawns for like $10 to $15, you had to save up a few weeks. It's the excitement of making that purchase, taking it home, putting it together in about less than 20 minutes. And right there, you're going to have a valuable tool that's really going to get you started and really get you in to see if weightlifting, bodybuilding, fitness can be a passion. We would suggest really getting good with the big compound exercises, body weight squats, doing dips on the parallel bar. Yeah, exactly. Push-ups. It doesn't have to start complicated. Just get good with the basics, build up, and then find out if you enjoy doing it and if it could be a passion of yours. And you're going to see results almost immediately having that consistency.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea to start off with something just simple and like at least experiment with it, I had a guy on another podcast named Alan Thrall. He has a YouTube channel and he does strongman. And I asked him actually a very similar type of question. If someone wanted to get started in strongman, but had no way to train, and he said, just go find a really, really heavy rock. He's like, you can pick that thing up and do all kinds of stuff with a big rock. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's pretty much what a lot of strongman events, are like.
If there's a will, there's a way, man.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this interview has gone way longer than I promised for you guys. Before I sorry about that.
Talk a lot.
Yeah,
we may have had a part in that, Tucker.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's fine with me. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or anything you want to share? I'm definitely going to share your all of your social media and your YouTube channel and Facebook and all that. But is there anything you guys want to talk about or let people know about? This episode will be out in just a couple of days, so it'll be fairly recent. If there's anything you guys want to put out there,
I think what I would like to say, Hudson, here is just keep in mind that everyone has those days, as I said earlier, where they're not running at 100%. We have those days as well. There's going to be days where you lack confidence, when you begin to doubt yourself. This varies from person to person. Some people don't struggle with this quite as bad, but we are all human beings at the end of the day. No matter how much someone's going to pump themselves up to be superhuman, their consistency is 100%. They never fall off the path. We all do in our own ways, so never get too hard on yourself. You never want to just begin to coast. You always want to have great goals. You always want to have something to look up to and achieve. But at the same time, keep in mind that it is going to take time. And as we discussed earlier, consistency is the key.
And that being said, subscribe to Buff View.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely subscribe.
But that probably would be, that's what we'd like to say, for sure.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I appreciate you guys being on. It's been an honor. It's been a lot of fun too. I think the viewers that hear this, they're gonna learn a lot.
Well, that's great. And thank you, Tucker, and thank you to those who are listening as well. We hope 1 hour of two blowhards talking into the phone that we were able to take something away.
But no, we do appreciate the support and the comments, and just whether it be criticism or positivity. I mean, we definitely do appreciate everyone that's kind of a part of the Buff Dude community.
And their own life, their own life stories and their own life changes. As we said, that's always super, motivational for us as well to hear those. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, that's definitely the cool thing is interacting with people and, giving advice and seeing results and, all that sort of stuff. It makes you feel good, at least for what you're doing. I know that's got to help you guys a lot.
Yeah, that's what makes it worth it. It really does.